Good afternoon. Today we'll be learning how to make a cookie cutter out of a tin can. First step of this is to disassemble a can. I used a can opener to take off the bottom of the can to start off with. So, as you can see, I worked my way around the can, slowly cutting it. I couldn't go in one motion as the tin opener wouldn't spin. So, I'm working on slowly. Again, this saves you a bit of time in the long run as it leaves a bit of a cleaner edge so it's easier to deal with. You work your way around. Eventually, you'll come to a point now you'll see the can lid starts to lift off. You just keep working. And here we go, you'll see it just comes off now. Quite simple, here it comes. As you can see, there it is, gone. So, the following step will be to look for the little line along the can. This is the seam of the can. So take your scissors and cut along the seam. Starting off at the bottom or top, up to you, but cut halfway. Don't try and cut too far as it becomes quite difficult and it becomes easy to miss the line. Swap it over and continue back from the opposite side. Again, just cut until you're cut and it should come apart. This should create quite a clean cut. In my case, it left a tiny bit of metal, which you can see here, pulled off and put aside. So now you want to straighten your can out a bit. By doing this, you just make it a bit easier to work in future. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is find the center of the can now. You're going to use a Koki to do this, preferably a whiteboard Koki as it's easy to clean off and you don't have to worry about it too much. So as you can see, I've started off here by trying to figure out where the dips are, as it can be kind of hard to make these out from the trough. So start off by working your way through, by just marking each one and counting. You'll notice here I make one long one. That long one is the center of the can in this case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make little holes along the can. This is the way I'm going to break this can off. You can use other methods. This to me is the easiest way to get a straight line. I just used a knife that I didn't really care about as it will get blunt, a cutting board to protect the table below, and you just work your way along. As you can see now with all the little holes, you just got to bend it a couple times for it to start breaking along that seam. So I just bent it over, being careful not to bend it too much to the point where I damage the can itself. So you go through again, a bit of a wiggle, and there it comes. So it'll take a bit of time, but you eventually get it. You get better at it as you do it more and more. Almost there, breaking it now. There we go. So the next step will be to look at your edges. See this one here? It's quite a clean edge already, to the point where we don't need to touch it up. This one, however, as you can see, is a bit raised on the one side. So what you're going to want to do is cut along the surface with your pair of scissors just to make it neater so that when you fold it over, it looks a bit better. So as we cut along here, I'm using the little ridge where it changes in elevation as a way to line my scissors up and follow. So I'm just taking my time as it will save you time in the future with not needing to redo this step. Well, there we go. Now you can see this edge is a lot cleaner and can be used now. Well, so that's pretty much it in preparing your can. We'll be making a square cookie cutter out of this tin can. First step is you want to get your ruler and mark out the important points on this can. These are your fold lines and your cut lines. You'll have one cut line. This cut line is to remove the excess material at the end of the section. The reason why we have excess material is because we chose to do a 5 cm segment, as this fitted in best on our can. When I say 5 cm segment, this means that each side of the square is 5 cm long. If you notice now in the video, you'll notice that the first line from the front is 1 cm away, and then the second will be 3.5 cm away. The 1 cm is a bit of can that I've left open for a fold over where the cans are going to join at the end of the video. The 3.5 centimeters is going to be half of one of the 5 centimeter segments. The reason why it's only half is because the 1 centimeter is being used up in that fold over where they're connecting. The reason why we're doing it in halves is so that when we connect the can up, it doesn't connect on one of the corners, as it's very difficult to get the can to hold together when you connect it over a corner. You notice here I'm drawing lines just to make lines all the way down. This step is unnecessary, as you can just do it freehand. Now that we've got all our lines drawn in, we can use our ruler to bend it over easily. So here, you simply line your ruler up with your fold and you bend it over, making sure to bend it upwards, and all your folds be bent in the same direction when making this cookie cutter. So as you can see, just working my way around slowly. And there we go. So now notice how the two edges of the can are now in the center of one of the sides. This is because we measured it to be 2.5 from either end. So the step that we're going to do now is we're going to get the can to a point where we're happy with the shape, and we're going to mark where we're going to fold it over exactly. So you would want to get your Koki and just put in a rough mark at the moment. We'll be more precise a bit later. Okay, so now that you have that mark in place, we don't have to worry about that for a little bit, as we're still going to fold over the top of the can so that when we push on it, it doesn't cut our hand. So you'll notice here I'm folding it out a bit. This is just to make this step a little bit easier. Now also, I'm not going to draw the line in such as I did in the circle one, as at this point I feel like you should be good enough just to bend it over, just making sure to keep your eye on it and try and follow a straight-ish line. It doesn't need to be perfect after all. So you just work your way up along, just like the other one. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to use our fingers just to push it over that little bit like we did before, as this makes this next step a little bit easier when you're clamping it down properly. So we work our way along now with the pliers, just making sure that it's all clamped down nicely. Again, you can spend as much time on this step as you want. The more time you spend on it, the better it will look. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to fix the little fold lines one more time where we've now bent this over, as it will be a little bit deformed. Okay, now you can see the squares taking shape. So again, I line up those two edges and I look at where I want them to be. Something to take note is that these are going to be bent in opposite directions, remember? The reason why we're bending them in opposite directions is so that when we hook them into each other, they actually hook. If they're both bent in the same direction, they wouldn't hook together. So you can see here I'm just checking all my corners just to make sure they're okay. Okay, now you'll see I'm starting to bend that outer one. So you notice how I'm bending this one inwards. The reason why I'm bending this one inwards is because this one is going to fit on the outside of the cookie cutter. Again, choosing which side bends inwards and outwards is up to you, as long as they are opposite. Over here, I do the opposite, I bend this one outwards. Just use your fingers to push them down a bit further so that they hook together nicely. And there we go, we hooked it together. So now what you're going to want to do is get your pair of pliers and you're going to clamp this shut. The tighter you clamp this, the better it will look. So try your hardest to get a nice seal between the two. It also increases the longevity of the cookie cutter. And there you have it, a square cookie cutter. Quite simple. You can just fix the shape of it. Be a bit gentle with it. Of course, it is a square cookie cutter. So yeah, I was not happy with how the top end of the cookie cutter came out. So what I did was I just reclamped it a bit tighter just to make sure that there was not a little piece sticking out. Now you can see I'm happy with it, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.